A Science of Change, podcasting by Gilmore Crosby, social scientist, author, and organization development professional since 1984. Hi, Gil Crosby here. I hope you enjoy this AI-generated podcast based on the introduction and first chapter of my book, Planned Change.
Welcome to the Deep Dives, your shortcut to becoming truly well-informed. Today we're plunging into the really profound work of Kurt Lewin, a true titan in social science, but maybe a bit misunderstood sometimes. Yeah, so our mission for this deep dive is to unpack his core principles of planned change. We're drawing directly from a key text, the intro and chapter 1. The goal here is that you walk away with more than just facts. We want you to have a framework, something actionable for understanding how change really happens, in a team, an organization, maybe even in your own life. Lewin, he was a scientist, right? Used rigorous research methods.
Oh, absolutely. Rigorous. To create this practical, reliable approach to planned change. He wasn't just theorizing in an ivory tower.
No, he mentored people, early OD professionals. And he fostered that experiential learning thing, the T group.
Exactly, the T group. A unique way to structure group dynamics, almost like a lab for, pretty dramatic individual and team development.
And it wasn't just about changing what people do. His methods actually aimed deeper, right? Changing the underlying beliefs.
That's the really powerful part. And what's fascinating truly is how relevant his work still is, even though, many people today, even in OD,
they don't know him that well.
Surprisingly little, yeah. About his methods, his history. He had a doctorate in psychology, published in psych journals mostly. But his big intention, always to get this knowledge out there to a broad audience. He really believed social science could, help build a brighter future.
A lofty goal.
It was. And this deep dive, hopefully, helps bridge that gap for you. Uncover some of that, maybe neglected wisdom.
Okay, that's a powerful vision. So if he was aiming that high, how did he structure his thinking? Let's unpack this. His 9 core principles of planned change. Where do we start? Well, the first one hits you right away, that famous quote, "There is nothing so practical as a good theory." It sounds like a bit of a paradox, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, but it's pure Lewin. He wasn't just, praising academic stuff. He was pushing back against the whole wing it approach to change.
Just trying stuff and seeing what sticks.
Exactly. His insight was that a really solid theory, it isn't just a map, it's the engine. It makes change reliable, repeatable, less guesswork.
Okay.
It's the difference between just hoping for success and actually building it on something solid. Without that theory, you're just reacting all the time.
Right, reacting instead of planning. So theory is the engine. How did Lewin then, move that into action?
Into implementation.
Yeah.
Which leads us to action research, right?
Precisely. Action research. It happens on multiple levels, but the really groundbreaking part for immediate situations is participant action research.
Participant, meaning the actual people with the problem.
Yes. They're the ones doing the research, digging into the data, designing the solutions. There's this sort of law of social science here. Solutions are just much, much more likely to stick, to be implemented well by the people who actually created them.
That makes intuitive sense. If you helped build it,
you own it.
Right.
If someone hands you a solution, maybe you resist. Could be a restraining force. But if you are part of finding it, it becomes a driving force. Shifting restraining to driving.
Exactly. And it also shows that dual goal of social research, studying the big general laws and tackling immediate practical problems at the same time.
That makes incredible sense. We're always more invested when we're part of it. But what about when it's not just one person, groups? Lewin really focused on the power of groups, didn't he? That's where I find it gets really interesting.
It is fascinating. He found pretty clearly that interventions with groups are way more effective than just focusing on individuals, especially if you're trying to change deep ideology or cultural habits.
Right.
He had that formula. You probably know it. B equals FPE. Behavior is a function of the person and the environment.
B equals FPE.
Okay.
The big takeaway there is if you want to change behavior, just focusing on the P, the person, often isn't enough. You have to look at and probably change the E, the environment.
And the group is the environment, in a way.
For Lewin, absolutely.
Yeah.
Group dynamics became the practical doorway, the way to apply all these principles. Group life itself is that powerful environment. Okay. So if groups are the main stage, How does leadership fit in? Because that relationship with authority, it's critical in any change, isn't it? Feels like it anyway.
Absolutely critical. Yeah. Lewin's research, it consistently pointed to democratic leadership yielding the best results.
But not just being nice democratic.
No, not passive. It means actively allowing freedom, activity within the group. But, and this is key, the democratic leader has to use their power for active re-education, guiding the group.
Re-education, meaning helping them learn new ways.
Learn new ways of thinking, behaving, interacting. See autocracy. You can just impose that, bang, done. But democracy, that has to be learned. It means the followers or the group members, they have to step up too. Play active roles, take responsibility, be sensitive to each other. It's a whole process.
And the T group is a place to learn that.
Exactly. A kind of a learning lab where people could actually practice and internalize those democratic roles. It's quite powerful.
That makes me wonder, though, in the real world, isn't there often a tension, between that democratic process taking time and needing to act fast, especially if there's a crisis? How did Lewin see that?
That's a really crucial point. And yeah, he understood that tension. He wasn't saying, let's just talk forever in every single situation. What he stressed was that for sustainable change, the deep stuff, like culture or ideology, the involvement you get from democratic processes, it ultimately outweighs the speed of just telling people what to do.
Okay, so it's about the long game.
Exactly. He argued that when you get the group truly involved in diagnosis and deciding, it fundamentally shifts the group dynamic. It goes from being a potential block, a restraining force, to a really powerful engine, a driving force.
How does that work in practice?
Well, the process, the group decision process, it has to secure high involvement. And crucially, it can't shut down discussion. Real freedom to talk. Think about it. Complete acceptance of facts, maybe facts people rejected before. It happens best when the group discovers those facts themselves.
Not just being told the answer.
Right. Then it becomes their discovery, their truth. Group decision is huge for morale. You shift from goals someone else imposed to goals the group sets for itself.
And there's proof this works.
Oh, yeah. There were experiments in industry back then showing really substantial permanent bumps in production, increases that months of just, incentives couldn't achieve. It's about building that ownership that fuels the effort long term.
Wow. The group discovering the truth for themselves.
Yeah.
That's a big idea. It links to something else many people have heard of, that unfreeze, move, freeze model.
Indeed. Yeah, that's widely cited, sometimes called change as 3 steps, or CATS.
CATS, okay.
It's important, though, to be clear, Lewin didn't package it up neatly like that with that exact name, but the idea, the essence of it, it's woven all through his thinking.
So it's kind of implicit.
Deeply implicit, yes. It's really a mistake when people criticize it for being too simple, or they miss how it fits into his whole bigger model of social science and planned change.
What is the essence then? Unfreeze.
Unfreezing the current state, the sort of equilibrium or homeostasis, getting things ready, pliable for change, then the movement, the actual change itself, and finally, refreezing, solidifying the new state. It's that basic cycle.
Got it. Unfreeze, move, refreeze.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't name it CATS. Okay, let's unpack another big one. Field theory. Sounds pretty academic. How did he use that for social stuff?
Yeah, it sounds academic, but it's actually surprisingly intuitive once you grasp the core idea. It's basically a powerful form of systems thinking. He borrowed it from physics, actually.
From physics? How does that work?
Well, the core ideas are, first, behavior comes from the totality of all the coexisting facts in a situation, everything that's present. And second, these facts, they act like a dynamic field. Think of maybe the water level in a tank with water flowing in and flowing out.
Or traffic on a freeway.
Perfect example. Cars are always moving, right? Individuals changing. But the overall flow, the average speed during rush hour, it stays relatively stable. It's not static, it's dynamic. A quasi-stationary equilibrium.
Quasi-stationary equilibrium. Okay.
It's this balance of lots of forces pushing and pulling. Driving forces trying to increase speed, restraining forces like congestion trying to slow it down.
And Lewin's methods focused on?
Here's the crucial part. His methods reliably work by decreasing the restraining forces rather than just piling on more pressure, more driving forces.
Yeah. So removing the obstacles instead of just pushing harder.
Exactly. It leads to change that's more sustainable, less stressful, less aggressive. It actually mirrors how process improvement often works, that spiral of planning, action, checking results, adjusting.
Plan, do, check, act.
Sort of, yeah. Lewin knew unpredictable stuff would come up, challenges would emerge, and he was clear. You need sound methods, and you need willpower to deal with them.
And just to be clear, when he said refreeze, he didn't mean things become totally static, right?
No, not at all. That's a common misunderstanding. Nothing is ever truly frozen solid. Systems are always in this quasi-stationary homeostasis. Group life is always changing, always adapting, even if the overall pattern looks stable for a while.
Wow, okay. Removing barriers is more effective than just pushing harder. That feels like a really profound shift.
Yeah.
And it leads perfectly into something else I find fascinating in his work, the social construction of reality.
Yes. And this is where group dynamics become that powerful doorway again. Leveraging this idea, the social construction of reality, meaning basically that what any one of us considers real or true is hugely shaped by what's socially accepted in our important group.
So reality isn't absolute.
It's not absolute in practice, no. It differs significantly from group to group, and that's critical if you're trying to intervene. As a social scientist or a change agent, you have to be careful not to just, dismiss or alienate people because their reality is different.
Could you give an example?
Sure. Remember that industrial intervention? Instead of blaming workers, calling them troublemakers,
Right.
Lewin framed the problem as faulty production.
Oh, focusing on the system issue.
Exactly. That allowed the workers to join in finding a solution with dignity. He knew that just hitting people with facts that contradict their group's reality, it usually fails. You're speaking different languages of truth, essentially.
So you have to change the shared reality first.
Often, yes, or at least work within it. He was a huge believer in active participation, not passive learning. He felt the teacher and student, or the change agent and the group, needed to feel like they were part of one group, with total freedom to speak their minds, to think things through together. That process, that dialogue, it helps change everyone's life space, makes individual realities more similar. That's where real progress can happen.
So pulling this all together, what's the big picture takeaway from Kurt Lewin's legacy? It sounds like it was about so much more than just like improving efficiency in a factory.
Oh, much, much more. His whole experimental approach, it was rooted in this deep optimism. He really felt that true science means progress, and progress means change. His ultimate goal really was planned change for the betterment of humanity.
For everyone.
Yes. He genuinely believed that social psychology, if based on this tight combination of experiments and solid empirical theory, it could do as much, maybe even more, for human betterment as the natural sciences had done for, say, health or technology.
That's a huge vision.
It is. He saw social science as having the potential to literally reshape our world, make it more just, more productive, more humane. That, I think, is his enduring call to action for all of us.
Wow. Our deep dive into Kurt Lewin's principles. It really does highlight how interconnected everything is. Behavior, groups, leadership, how we see reality.
They're not separate boxes. They all weave together.
And his ideas aren't just abstract theories. They feel like really practical tools for figuring out the messy reality of human interaction and change.
They absolutely are, which, brings up a question for you, the listener, thinking about all this. How might understanding this interplay, maybe between driving and restraining forces, or the real power of group decision, how might that reshape how you approach a challenge you're facing right now? Maybe at work, maybe personally. Is there one single Lewinian idea that really clicks with your own experience of change? And how might you use it differently now?
That's a great question to reflect on. We really hope this deep dive into Kurt Lewin's profound legacy gives you some valuable insights, maybe a clearer path forward on something. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep deep diving into the world around you.
Hey, I appreciate you listening. This, again, is Gil Crosby. And I want you to take advantage of what's available to you. I have many free materials. I am happy to talk to people about their situations, especially if you're trying to create change, either social change or organization change. We have frequent workshops that are available, T group workshops. If you have never been in a T group with us, then don't miss it in your life. Many people have said to me, of all the trainings I've ever received, I got this one 30 years ago, and it's the only one that stuck with me. You're learning from your actual interactions with the other participants and with the faculty. The faculty are walking the same talk that they're teaching of behavioral skills. It's a training workshop. That's what the T stands for. This is done in the spirit of the creation of T groups by Kurt Lewin and his associates. It's for groups. It's for teams. That's how it was originally designed. It is a opportunity to learn about theory and put it directly into practice. Most the original design, you learn things and then you put them into practice. It was not just all ambiguity, which is how some T groups, most are led today, where the faculty hardly says anything. That's not how this is designed. So join us for that. There's always workshops. There's the Leadership Institute of Seattle, a 2-year program where you will learn from T groups and learn how to do all the organization development work that my father designed, most of it, and I continue that practice alongside my brother Chris and many other associates. So don't be a stranger. There's a lot going on. It's always changing. So be in touch, and it's on the website, crosbyod.com. I look forward to working with you in your organization or as you pursue things like reducing gun violence and decreasing racism in our society. Whatever your goals are, the social science of Kurt Lewin guides how to achieve those goals in a reliable way. And so that's what I apply and practice every day. And I invite you to do the same. Together, we can create high productivity and morale in organizations. We can create stronger foundations for democracy. We can create a better world.